Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you the difference between get and the post method. I hope you might have been hearing that we have a get method and we have a post method and what actually it is. In this video I'll try to explore it a little. Now I'm starting a brand new application MVC3 ASP.NET and I have named the project as MVC get post. I'll say OK. And I'm going to start an empty application with Razor as view engine. Say OK. Now as usual I'll get a project directory with all the folders. Now I'll add a home controller. That is what normally we used to do to start any MVC application. The first step we do is we add a controller. I'll right click on it and I'll say add controller and its name is home. And we know that by default home controller is set as the controller and the default action is index. Now I'll create a view for this index or for this action. So I'll just right click on it and I'll say add view. And name of the view is index. I don't want to use a layout or master page. That we will see in our future videos what actually it is, and I'll say add. So I should get a view. Now I'll just write a message welcome. So I'll put a breakpoint here and I'll say F5. So it is coming to the controller. That means URL is hitting the server and in the server it is hitting the controller first, and say F5 and I'll say F12. We have a very good tool to analyze our request. I'll click on the network here and I'll say refresh this. It is hitting the server. I'll say F5, it comes back. Now you should see there is a request with a method called as get. So we sent a request to the server. Its type is get by default. You can see in this the request URL is so and so and the request method type is get and status code is 200. That means it has found the page successfully. Now if I say /test, it has made another request to the server with the same get method and now the status is 404. That means it has not found that. So this is very simple, not to get confused. So I'll say 5. So I made a get request. Now I'll just try to write a simple form here in my index. I'll say br. I have a form ready with me. I'll paste it. I'll say save. If you observe, my form contains two fields. One is a name field. In this I have ID attribute of this field and name attribute of this field. I have set both the fields. In the same way, for this input field of age, I have set ID as well as name. Now why is that I am setting both the things? We will see that later on. So as of now, let us concentrate on name attribute that we will be using very soon. And there is a button, submit. I am submitting. Now I'll save this. Again I'll execute this. Let me say F12. Now I'll just refresh it. So we can see that first of all it is requesting the server with the get method and getting this page loaded. Now I'll write some information in this. and I'll say submit. What happened? It is not making a request at all. That means it is not hitting the server again. Why? Let us observe the code once again. So any guess? You may guess that the button that we are using is of type button. So I should use submit. As we know that submit button makes a post back or a hit to the server. Now let me save this and reload, and now let us see whether it makes a post back or not. Say submit. Even now it is not making a post back or not hitting the server. Why? If you observe the code carefully, there is no form tag here. My complete form should be in a form tag. So I'll just write a form tag. I hope now you might have got an idea why this form tag is so important. I'll save this. Now it should make a hit. Now I got the page. I'll say Manzoor, the age is 29, and I'll submit this. It should make a hit to the server. If you observe, it is making a hit to the server, that is here, and again the method is of type get. If I click on this URL, if you observe that I have something added to the URL, that is name Manzoor, age 29. These are the attributes that we set at the page level. Let us see that. This is the attribute name. To make sure that it is using name attribute, not ID attribute, I'll just rename this. I'll say n underscore name and n underscore age. It is using name attribute to identify this particular control, and it is setting the value to this variable or to this attribute. I'll save this. I'll reload it. Now I got, or just remove this. I got the form. I'll say Manzoor and the age 29. Now I'll say submit. Now if you observe in your URL, you have got the attribute name and the value is set to that. That means I am setting the values to the attribute name of that control, and I'm passing this to the server by appending it in the string. We call it as query string. You can see that, you can observe it. So whenever we are appending something to the query string, or whenever we are appending something to the URL, we call it as query string, and this uses a method called as get method. Now you should have a question. Have we said saying that the method is get somewhere? No. Then how is that it is taking get method? It is taking get method by default. If you do not set method, then it takes get method. Now I'll set method. I'll say form method equals to, you can find get and post. Now I'll set it to the get method. It should work in the same sense. Manzoor 29. I'll say submit. It is working in the same sense. The parameters are getting appended to the URL, and We call it as query string. You can see that n name, n age, and the request method is of type get. So this is your get method. Then what is post method? Now I'll just go back. I'll simply change from here get to post. This is the initial request. That means hit to the server and getting the form with the get method. Now I'll write same Manzoor and the age 29. I'll submit. Now you do not find any query string or any parameters or key value pairs appended to the URL. Now if you observe this, the method is of post. I'll click on this. Now you can see that the request URL does not contain any parameter or any query string. Then where are the values? The values are stored in the form, or you can say in the body. If I scroll down, you'll see form data. Values are stored in the form data. That is n name Manzoor, n age 29. It is also making a hit to the server. That means I'm carrying the values from client to the server in two ways. One is a get method, another is a post method. In initial days, there was a limit to this URL. The size of the URL cannot exceed 256 characters or something. But now we have some settings in ASP.NET 4.0 that you can increase the size. But anyway, for a huge amount of data or some sensitive data, or passing some huge amount of data in query string is little bit risky. So what normally we do, whenever we want to pass some data from client to the server, we use post method. And if at all we want to get something from the server and I want to display it on the client machine, we use get method. For example, if I want to get the information about an employee, so the parameter will be simple and single, that is employee ID. So I can pass it in the query string and I can get the information back. So to make sure that you understand get and the post method and its difference, I have recorded this video. I hope you might have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much.